A millionaire was calmly walking through the park with his mute child when a simple park worker suddenly stopped in front of them. She stared at the child, her hands began to tremble, and she whispered something that made the man freeze in place. When people nearby realized what she recognized, the entire park fell into stunned silence. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The sun was warm on their backs. Carter Reed held his daughter's small hand tightly as they walked along the path in Central Park. He wore his best blue suit. Lily wore her favorite red dress. Her blonde curls bounced with each step. "Look, Lily," Carter said, pointing. "The ducks are waiting for us." Lily looked where he pointed. She did not speak. She never spoke. She just nodded her head. Her eyes, one green and one blue, watched the ducks closely. They stopped by the water. Carter took a small bag of bread from his pocket. He gave a piece to Lily. She took it and threw it to the ducks. A tiny smile touched her lips. Carter's heart felt heavy and light at the same time. He loved these quiet Sundays, but the quiet was because of the missing piece, because Elena was gone. "Mommy loved the ducks too," Carter said softly. Lily looked up at him. She patted her own chest, right over her heart. She did this every time he said "Mommy." It meant she remembered. It meant she loved her too. "I know, sweetheart," Carter said. "I miss her every day." They fed the ducks in silence. People walked past them. A man jogged by. Two women pushed strollers. The park was full of life and sound, but Carter and Lily were in their own quiet world, a world of two. Carter watched his daughter. She was so small. She was everything to him. 3 years had passed since Elena's car was found empty. 3 years since the police said she was probably gone. He had to believe it. He had to, for Lily, but a part of him always wondered. Lily finished her bread. She wiped her hands on her dress. She reached up and took Carter's hand again. Her hand was so small in his. They started to walk once more. "Should we go see the big fountain?" Carter asked. Lily nodded. She skipped a little as they walked. For a moment, she looked like any other 5-year-old girl. Carter wished he could hear her laugh. He would give all his money to hear her voice. They walked toward the fountain. The path was wide. A woman was working near some bushes. She wore a blue uniform and big yellow gloves. She was picking up trash with a long stick. Carter did not pay her any attention. Lily looked at the woman as they passed. Suddenly, the woman froze. She dropped her stick. She stared at Lily. Her face went white, like she had seen a ghost. Carter stopped walking. "Are you all right?" he asked the woman. The woman did not hear him. She took a step closer. She looked only at Lily. Her eyes were wide and scared. Then she looked at Carter. Her voice was a shaky whisper. "Her eyes," the woman said. "She has her mother's eyes." The air left Carter's lungs. The sounds of the park faded away. He stared at the woman in the blue uniform. "What did you say?" Carter's voice was sharp. The woman flinched. She looked like she wanted to run, but she pointed a yellow glove at Lily's face. Her eyes, one green, one blue, just like her mother's. Carter's heart beat very fast. He never told anyone about Elena's eyes. It was their private thing. How could this stranger know? He stepped closer to the woman. He kept Lily behind him. "How do you know that? Who are you?" The woman shook her head. She started to back away. "I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry." "No," Carter said. He reached out and gently held her arm. He did not want to scare her more, but he needed answers. "Please, how do you know about her eyes?" The woman looked from Carter to Lily. She saw the little girl peeking out from behind her father's leg. Lily's different colored eyes were full of curiosity. The woman's shoulders slumped. She looked very tired. "I knew her," she whispered. "I knew your wife. Her name wasn't always Elena." Carter's world tilted. The sunny park felt cold. He held Lily's hand tighter. "Tell me," he said. His voice was low. "Tell me everything." The woman looked around the park. She was afraid of someone listening. "Not here," she said. "It's not safe here." "Then where?" Carter asked. "There's a small coffee shop on Elm Street, the one with the red door. Meet me there in 1 hour." She pulled her arm away gently. "Please, do not tell anyone. Do not call anyone. Just come and bring the girl." Before Carter could say another word, The woman turned. She picked up her stick and walked away quickly. She disappeared behind a line of trees. Carter stood still. Lily tugged on his hand. He looked down at her. She was looking up at him, her head tilted. She looked confused. "It's okay, Lily," he said. But his voice did not sound okay. He looked at the path where the woman had gone. His quiet Sunday was gone. A door to a hidden past had just opened with a whisper, and he had to walk through it. He picked Lily up and held her close. She rested her head on his shoulder. Carter started walking back to where his car was parked. His mind was racing with one thought. The woman knew about Elena's eyes. She knew. And if she knew that, what else did she know? The coffee shop on Elm Street was small and quiet. Carter held the door open for Lily. His eyes scanned the room. He saw her right away. The woman from the park sat in a corner booth. She had changed out of her blue uniform. She wore a simple gray sweater. She was twisting her hands together on the table. Carter led Lily to the booth. He sat down across from the woman. Lily slid in next to him, clutching her doll. "You came," the woman said. Her voice was still a whisper. "You said you knew my wife," Carter said. He kept his voice low but firm. "Start talking. What is your name?" Sarah Miller." "How do you know about Elena's eyes?" Sarah glanced at Lily. She looked pained. "Because I knew her before she was Elena. Her name was Eleanor Vance. We grew up together, in a small town in Ohio called Mill Grove." Carter felt a cold knot form in his stomach. Elena had told him she was from a big city. She said she had no family. "That's not possible." "It is true," Sarah said. She leaned forward. "She was my only friend. She was different, special. Her family was very strict. They wanted to control her whole life. She wanted to be free, so she ran away." "Ran away to Boston," Carter said slowly. "Yes, she changed her name. She cut all ties. She thought it was the only way to be safe." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "She was so happy when she met you. She told me in a letter. She said she finally felt free." "You stayed in touch?" Carter asked. His mind was racing. Letters he never saw. A life he never knew. "For a little while, it was too dangerous, for both of us." Sarah wiped her eyes. "She was running from someone, Mr. Reed, a man, a very dangerous man who worked for her family." "What was his name?" Sarah shook her head. "I only ever heard a first name. Silas. He is a man you do not want to find you. He has a hand. His right hand. It is covered in scars, like it was burned." Lily made a small sound. Carter looked down. She was staring at Sarah, her doll held tightly to her chest. Her little face was very serious. "Why are you telling me this now?" Carter asked. "After 3 years?" "Because of her," Sarah said, looking at Lily. "When I saw her today, those eyes. It was like seeing Eleanor as a little girl. I work in the park to hide. I took the job because it was quiet. No one notices you. Then I saw you two, week after week. A rich man and his silent little girl. I knew it was Eleanor's child. I felt it. But I was too scared to speak. What changed today?" "I looked at her," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "And I thought, what if she needs help? What if Eleanor needed help and I did nothing? I couldn't stay quiet anymore." Carter's head was spinning. "Elena's family, the Van Horns, are they looking for her?" "They never stopped," Sarah said. Her fear was plain on her face. "Eleanor faked her death to make them stop. She thought if they believed she was gone, they would leave you and the baby alone. But they are like shadows. They are always there." "Do they know about Lily?" Carter's hand tightened around his coffee cup. "I don't know. Maybe not. But if they find out, they will think she belongs to them. They will come for her." A silence fell over the table. Lily reached for a sugar packet and started to fold it quietly. "You have to go, Mr. Reed," Sarah whispered urgently. "You have to take her and go somewhere safe. Do not use your credit cards. Do not go to your big house. They will watch people who ask questions. They have been watching me for years. They will watch you now." "How do I find out more?" Carter asked. "How do I know what is true?" Sarah reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. She slid it across the table. "This is the town. Mill Grove, Ohio. This is the name she was born with. Eleanor Vance. It is all I have. It is all I know for sure." Carter took the paper. He did not open it. Sarah stood up quickly. "I have said too much. I cannot stay. Please, for her sake, be careful." She turned and walked out of the coffee shop without looking back. The bell on the door jingled behind her. Carter sat perfectly still. He looked at the folded paper in his hand. Then he looked at Lily. She had stopped folding the sugar packet. She was looking at him with her two different colored eyes. Eyes she got from her mother. A mother with a name he never knew. "Come on, sweetheart," he said, his voice thick. "We're going home." But as he drove his expensive car through the streets of Boston, he knew nothing would be the same. The quiet, sad world of two was gone. Now, there was a hole in the past, and he had a name to put in it. Eleanor Vance. The piece of paper from Sarah felt heavy in Carter's pocket. He sat in his large, quiet living room long after he had put Lily to bed. He could not sleep. The name Eleanor Vance's played over and over in his mind. He pulled out the paper and unfolded it. The words Millgrove, Ohio were written in a shaky hand. He stared at it. Everything he knew about his wife was a story she had told him, a story he never questioned. Why would he? He loved her. He trusted her. But now, he saw the cracks, the way she would sometimes jump at a loud noise, how she never wanted to visit her old friends. She said her parents died when she was young. She said she had no siblings. He believed her. A soft sound made him look up. Lily stood in the doorway. She held her blanket. Her hair was messy from sleep. "Hey, sweet pea," Carter said. "Can't sleep?" Lily walked over and climbed onto the couch next to him. She leaned against his side. He put his arm around her. "Daddy's just thinking," he said. Lily pointed to the paper in his hand. She looked at him with a question in her eyes. "It's a note," Carter said slowly. About Mommy." Lily sat up straight. She touched the word Ohio on the paper. "That's a place," Carter said. "A place far from here. The lady in the park said Mommy lived there a long time ago." Lily's fingers traced the letters. Then she looked at Carter. She patted her own chest, then pointed at the paper. She wanted to know more. "I don't know much, Lilybug," Carter said, his voice tired. "Mommy had a different name before I met her. Did you know that?" Lily shook her head no. "Her name was Eleanor, and she had a friend named Sarah. That was the lady we saw." Lily's eyes got wide. She made a motion with her hands like she was putting on gloves. She pointed toward the window, toward the park. "Yes," Carter said. "The park lady. Sarah was scared. She said Mommy was scared too, of a man." Lily froze. Her small body went very still. "A man named Silas," Carter said, watching her closely. "Have you ever heard that name?" Lily did not nod or shake her head. She just stared at Carter. Her eyes were huge. Then, slowly, she looked down at her own hands. She turned her right hand over and stared at her palm, as if she could see something on it. A cold feeling spread through Carter's chest. "Lily, what is it?" She looked back up at him. Her face was pale. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but no sound came out. A look of deep frustration crossed her face. She grabbed his hand instead and squeezed it hard. "It's okay," he whispered, pulling her into a hug. "You don't have to talk. It's okay." But he held her and felt her little heart beating fast against his. He remembered what Sarah had said about the man. Asterisk, he has a hand, his right hand. It is covered in scars. Lily had reacted to that. She had understood. Carter looked over Lily's head at the dark windows. His big, expensive house felt suddenly very empty and very exposed. Sarah's warning echoed in his ears. Asterisk, they will watch people who ask questions. He was a man who solved problems with money and phone calls. He wanted to call someone right now, a private investigator, a security expert, but Sarah said they would be watching. He thought about Eleanor. Had she been looking over her shoulder every single day? Had she been waiting for a man with a scarred hand to find her? The idea made him feel sick. He never protected her from that because he never knew. Lily's breathing slowed. She was falling asleep against him. He made a decision. He could not just wait. He had to know. He had to find the hole in Elena's past and shine a light into it, no matter what was hiding there. Very carefully, he picked Lily up and carried her back to bed. He tucked her in and kissed her forehead. Then he went to his study. He did not turn on the big light. He used the small lamp on his desk. He took out his personal cell phone, the one not tied to his business. He scrolled through his contacts and found a number. It was for a woman named Maggie who had done discreet work for his company before. She was good at finding information. She lived in California, far from Boston. He typed a message. It was very late, but he sent it anyway. Asterisk Maggie, I need your help. It is personal. I need everything you can find on a woman named Eleanor Vance, originally from Mill Grove, Ohio. She may have ties to a family named Van Horn and a man named Silas. No official channels. Absolute discretion. Name your price. He stared at the screen for a full minute. Then he pressed send. The message vanished into the night. He had just started digging, and he had a terrible feeling about what he might find. 3 days passed. Carter tried to act normal. He took Lily to the park at the usual time, but Sarah was never there. He took her for ice cream. He read her stories. But his mind was somewhere else, waiting for a reply. It came on the 4th day. His personal phone buzzed with a message from a number he did not know. Asterisk Carter. It's Maggie. Can you talk? He was in his study. Lily was in the next room, watching a cartoon. He closed the door and called the number. Maggie. Carter. Maggie's voice was serious, no greeting. I got your message. I have some information. It is not good, and it is not complete. These people are like ghosts. They own things, but their names are not on the papers. Tell me what you found, Carter said, sitting down. Eleanor Vance, born in Mill Grove, Ohio. Father was Robert Vance, mother was Louisa. Both died in a house fire when Eleanor was 19. That's the official story. What's the real story? Carter asked. The real story is that Robert Vance was born Robert Van Horn. He changed his name when he left the family. The Van Horns are based in West Virginia. Old money, mining, timber, private equity. But their real business is secrecy. They are a closed circle. They do not like people who leave. Carter's hand tightened on the phone. So Elena's father left the family. Yes, and from what I can piece together, they never forgave him for it, or his children. Eleanor had an older brother, Arthur. He stayed with the family. She did not. After her parents died, she was expected to return to the fold, to marry within the family's chosen circle. She refused. She ran, Carter said. She vanished 6 years ago. There is no record of her for over a year. Then she appears in Boston as Elena Reed. She married you. And the man named Silas? Silas Rourke. He is not family. He is an employee, a permanent employee. His name comes up in relation to the Van Horns in unpleasant contexts. Property disputes that get quiet. People who cause problems for the family and then move away suddenly. He is their problem solver. And yes, he has a distinctive scar on his right hand, a burn. Carter felt the room tilt. Every piece Sarah had given him was true. The death, Elena's disappearance 3 years ago. I looked at the police report from Boston. Her car by the river, no body. It was ruled a probable accident and drowning. But there was a witness. A homeless man said he saw a woman matching Elena's description get into a black SUV with out-of-state plates before the car was left by the river. The police did not put much weight on his statement. She faked it, Carter whispered, the truth settling like a stone in his gut, to make them stop looking. It is the only thing that fits, Maggie said. She must have believed they were getting close. She staged her death to protect you and your daughter. She must have thought if she was gone, the hunt would end. The inheritance would pass to Arthur. They would have no reason to look for a dead woman's child. But they never stopped, Carter said, thinking of Sarah's terrified face. No, Arthur Van Horn is the head of the family now. By all accounts, he is even more traditional than his father. He would see his sister's child as family property, a part of their legacy. If he knows Lily exists, he will not stop. Carter looked at the closed door, thinking of his daughter watching cartoons. Does he know? I cannot answer that. But if a park worker in Boston who knew Eleanor 20 years ago recognized Lily's eyes, then someone else could too. The risk is very high. What do I do, Maggie? There was a long pause on the line. Officially, I can't tell you to do anything. But if this were me, if I had a child they might want, I would become very hard to find, very fast. You have resources, Carter. Use them in a way they won't expect. Do not use what you always use. She hung up. Carter sat in the silence of his study. The pieces were now a picture, and it was terrifying. Elena had lived a whole life of fear before him. She had given up her name, her past, and finally, her very life with him, all to build a wall around their family. And the wall had never been enough. He opened the study door. Lily was on the floor, coloring. She was not watching the cartoon, she was drawing. She always drew the same things: a woman with a smile, a house with many windows, and a shape that looked like a man with a dark scribble on his hand. Carter walked over and knelt beside her. "Lily," he said, his voice gentle. "Can you tell Daddy about your pictures?" She looked up at him. She pointed to the woman. "That's Mommy," he said. She nodded. She pointed to the scribbled hand on the man shape. She looked at Carter, then she hugged her own arms and shivered. She made her face look scared. A cold understanding began to dawn on Carter. It was a thought so awful he tried to push it away. But it would not leave. It connected everything. Sarah's story, Maggie's facts, Lily's silence. He looked at his beautiful, quiet daughter. He thought about when her voice had left her. She was 2 years old. "Lily," he whispered, a knot of dread in his throat. "Did you see the man with the scary hand?" Lily's crayon stopped moving. She looked at Carter's face. She saw the fear and the understanding in his eyes. Slowly, she nodded her head. Just once. Carter felt like the floor had fallen away. He reached out and pulled her into his lap, holding her tight. "You saw him," he whispered into her hair. "In our house? When you were little?" Lily nodded again, her head against his chest. She was trembling. "Oh, baby," Carter said. His eyes burned. All those doctors, all those specialists he hired and fired when they could not find a physical cause. They asked about trauma, but he said no. He said nothing bad had ever happened. He was wrong. The worst thing had happened right in front of her, and he was not there to stop it. He held her until she stopped shaking. Then he said, "I need to make a phone call to a friend who is a doctor. Is that okay?" Lily looked unsure. "It's not for you to talk," Carter promised. "It's for me to understand, so I can help better." She finally gave a small nod. Carter called an old friend from college, Ben Evans, who was now a child psychologist. He did not give names. He spoke in general terms. "Ben, I have a question. A child stops speaking around age 2. There is no physical problem. What could cause that?" "Trauma," Ben said immediately. "It's called selective mutism, a shocking event, something frightening the child can't process. The mind just shuts down that pathway. It's a protection mechanism. Has something like that happened?" "I think so," Carter said, his voice rough. "The child saw something, a threat, to their mother. That would do it," Ben said softly. "The fear ties their voice to the event. Speaking might feel like bringing the danger back. Is the mother safe now?" Carter closed his eyes. "No, she's not here." A long pause. "I'm sorry, Carter. That's a lot for a little one to carry. They need to feel safe, really safe. And they might need help to untangle the memory from their voice. It can take time. Thank you, Ben." He hung up. The confirmation was a heavy weight. He looked at Lily, who was watching him. He walked back over and sat on the floor with her. "Lily," he said, picking up her drawing of the man with the scribbled hand. "Did this man come to our house? A long time ago?" She nodded. "Did he talk to Mommy?" Another nod. Lily's face was very serious. She patted her own chest, then pointed to Carter, and then made a big X with her arms. She pointed back to the drawing of the man. "He talked to Mommy about us?" Carter guessed. Lily nodded vigorously. She held up 2 fingers for Mommy and Daddy. Then she hugged herself tight and shook her head no fiercely. Asterisk. "He told Mommy to stay away from us." "And then what happened?" Carter asked, his heart breaking. Lily looked down. She picked up a black crayon. She drew a quick, dark shape around the woman in her picture, like a box or a car. Then she made a walking motion with her fingers away from the drawing. She looked at Carter and mimed sleeping, laying her head on her hands. Then she pointed to the empty space where the woman had been gone. Carter pieced it together. The man threatened Elena. He made her get in a car. She left. Then, sometime after that, she came back. She pretended everything was normal. She put Lily to bed. And then, she was gone for good. Elena did not just disappear one day. She was forced to leave. She came back to say a secret goodbye to her daughter. and then she staged her death to pull the danger away from them. She let them think she was dead so they would stop looking. And Lily saw the root of it all. She saw the man with the scarred hand. The shock stole the words she might have used to tell her father. "You have been so brave," Carter said, gathering her up. "Keeping this all inside. I'm so sorry, Lily. I'm so sorry I didn't know." She buried her face in his neck. He held her and looked at the drawings spread on the floor. The smiling mother, the big house, the scarred hand. They were not just pictures. They were a story. A map of a secret war that had been fought around them for years. Sarah knew part of it. Maggie found more. But Lily knew the heart of it. She had witnessed the moment their family broke. Carter thought of Arthur Van Horn sitting in a big house in West Virginia. He thought of Silas, a man who threatened women and made children too scared to speak. They thought Lily was their property, a thing to be collected. The quiet, controlled life Carter had built was a glass box, and someone was about to throw a stone through it. He could not wait for the stone to hit. The time for asking questions was over. The time for hiding was over. It was time to run. The big house was too quiet. Carter moved through it like a ghost. He went to his wall safe, not the one in the study, but the hidden one in his dressing room. He took out stacks of cash. He put the money into a plain black backpack. He went to Lily's room. She was sitting on her bed, holding her favorite doll. She watched him with wide eyes. "We have to go on a trip, Lilybug," he said, keeping his voice calm. "A long trip, just you and me." Lily tilted her head. She pointed to her closet, then to her little suitcase with butterflies on it. "Yes," Carter said, "but we can only take a little, just some clothes, your warm jacket, and your doll, of course." He helped her pack a small bag. He took her hand and led her downstairs. He did not take his phone. He left it on the kitchen counter. He took the house phone off the hook. He put Lily's bag and his backpack by the door. "Wait here for 1 minute," he said. He went to his desk. He wrote a short note on a piece of paper. Asterisk taking Lily on a spontaneous vacation. Back in a week. Do not disturb. He left it next to his cell phone. It was a weak story, but it might buy a day. He put on a dark jacket and a baseball cap. He put a similar cap on Lily's head, tucking her curls underneath. He picked up their bags. "Okay," he said, taking her hand. "We have to be very quiet now." They did not go to the garage where his expensive cars were kept. Instead, Carter led Lily out the back door, through the garden gate, and onto the quiet street behind their property. They walked 2 blocks. Parked on the street was a used gray sedan. He had bought it with cash that afternoon from a man he found online. He unlocked the car and helped Lily into the back seat. He clipped her into her car seat. He put their bags in the front. "This is our new car for a while," he said, trying to sound cheerful. Lily looked around the small, plain car. She nodded slowly. She trusted him. Carter got in the driver's seat. He started the engine. He drove away from their neighborhood, his eyes constantly checking the mirrors. He did not drive toward the highway right away. He drove through the city for almost an hour, taking turns he did not need to take, watching for any car that might be following. Finally, when he saw nothing, he headed for the interstate. He merged into the traffic heading west. He had no clear plan yet, just away from Boston, away from the house that was no longer safe. After an hour of driving in silence, a small voice came from the back seat. "Daddy?" Carter's heart stopped. He glanced in the rearview mirror. Lily was looking out the window. She hadn't spoken. It was his mind playing tricks, but the hope that had lanced through him was sharp and painful. He saw her small face in the mirror. She was watching the lights of other cars. She looked peaceful. She had her doll clutched in her arms. "We're going to be okay, Lily," he said, more to himself than to her. "I promise." She looked up and met his eyes in the mirror. She gave him a small, brave smile. The night stretched out before them, dark and full of unknown roads. Carter kept driving. The man who controlled everything was gone. In his place was just a father, with his silent daughter in the back seat, running toward a hope he could not yet see. They drove for 2 days. They slept in small motels with names like Sunset Inn and Traveler's Rest. Carter paid with cash each time. He gave fake names. He made Lily go into the room quickly, and they kept the curtains closed. On the morning of the third day, they were in a motel just outside a town in Pennsylvania. The room smelled like old carpet. Carter was packing their bag. Lily sat at the small table, drawing on motel stationery with her crayons. "We'll get some breakfast soon," Carter said. "Then we'll keep driving. Maybe we'll find a nice park later." Lily held up her drawing. It was the house again, the big house with many windows. But this time, she had drawn a tall, black shape next to it. It looked like a man. Carter felt a chill. "Is that the man by the house, sweetie?" Lily nodded. She pointed to the man's hand and colored it a dark brown, almost black. A loud engine noise growled outside. Carter froze. He moved to the window and peeked through the edge of the curtain. A big black SUV had pulled into the motel parking lot. It stopped right in front of the office. A man got out. He was tall. He wore a dark coat. He walked into the motel office. "Stay right here, Lily," Carter whispered. "Don't move." Carter cracked open the motel room door just a little. He could hear voices from the office, which was only 4 doors down. A deep, calm voice asked a question. Carter could not hear the words. Then he heard the nervous voice of the motel clerk, a young man Carter had seen the night before. I don't know, sir. We get a lot of people." The deep voice spoke again, slow and clear. A man, late 40s, well-dressed but trying not to be. A little girl about 5, blonde hair, very quiet. "Have you seen them?" Carter's blood ran cold. He closed the door softly and locked it. "They're here," he said to Lily. He grabbed their bags. "We have to go, now." He took Lily's hand and they went out the back door of the room. They ran across a patch of grass behind the motel toward where the gray car was parked. Carter buckled Lily into her seat, threw the bags in, and got in the driver's seat. As he started the car, he looked toward the office. The tall man was walking out. He was looking down at his phone. Then he turned his head. He looked right at Carter's car. For a second, their eyes met. The man had a hard, flat face. And as he lifted his hand to point, Carter saw it. Even from a distance, he could see the rough, shiny scars covering the man's right hand. Silas. Carter stepped on the gas. The tires squealed as he pulled out of the parking lot and onto the main road. He checked the mirror. The black SUV roared to life and pulled out after them. "Hold on, Lily," Carter said. He drove fast. He turned onto a smaller road, then another. The black SUV stayed behind them, matching every turn. "He's following us, Lily," Carter said, his voice tight. "He won't stop." Lily turned in her seat to look out the back window. She saw the big black car. Her breathing got fast. She looked at Carter, her face full of fear. Carter took a sharp turn onto a road that led into wooded hills. The road was narrow and winding. He pushed the old car as fast as it would go. For a few minutes, he could not see the SUV behind him. Then, coming around a curve, he saw it again in the distance. Silas was gaining. Carter saw a dirt road up ahead on the left. It was almost hidden by trees. He did not think. He swerved onto it. The car bounced over ruts and rocks. Branches scraped the sides. He drove deep into the woods, then stopped. He turned off the engine. They sat in absolute silence, listening. A minute later, they heard the sound of the SUV's engine on the main road. It did not slow down. It drove right past the hidden dirt road and kept going. The sound faded away. Carter let out a long, shaking breath. He looked back at Lily. She was pale, but she gave him a small, brave thumbs up. "He's gone for now," Carter whispered. "But he will come back. He will keep looking." He looked at the drawing Lily had left on the motel table. They had left it behind, but he could see it in his mind. The big house. The tall man. It was not just a memory. It was a destination. The man who wanted them was connected to that house. He had run in no direction, just away. But that was not enough. He needed to go to the heart of it. He needed to find the place in Lily's drawings. He started the car again and drove slowly, carefully, out of the woods. He had a direction now. He turned the car south, toward West Virginia. The gray car wound its way through the hills. The trees were thick and green. They had been driving south for hours. Lily did not draw for a long time. She just looked out the window, her doll in her lap. Then, as the sun started to go down, she opened her bag. She took out her pad of paper and her crayons. She began to draw. Carter watched her in the rearview mirror. Her face was focused. She was drawing with purpose. "What are you drawing, Lilybug?" he asked. She held up the paper. It was the big house again, but this time she had added something new. A long, winding road led up to it, and on the road, she drew a small, boxy car. In the car were 2 stick figures. "That's us," Carter said, his voice soft. "Going to the house." Lily nodded. She pointed at the house, then at Carter's eyes, then back at the house. Asterisk, "You see it?" "I see it," Carter said. "But how do you know this place, Lily? Did Mommy ever talk about it?" Lily shrugged. She looked at her drawing, then out the window at the passing hills. She did not seem confused. She seemed sure, as if the house was a picture stuck in her mind that she was just copying onto paper. Carter thought about what Maggie had said. Asterisk, the Van Horns are based in West Virginia. He had seen a photo in the files she sent, a large, old estate house on a hill. It looked like the house in Lily's drawings. He pulled the car over at a small gas station. While he pumped gas, he used some of his cash to buy a cheap paper map. He spread it out on the hood of the car. "Okay," he said, mostly to himself. "We are here." He pointed to a spot in Pennsylvania. "The Van Horn land is here." He moved his finger to a remote area in West Virginia. "That is where we need to go." Lily stood beside him, looking at the map. She put her small finger on the spot he indicated. She tapped it twice. Then she pointed to her drawing of the house. "You're sure?" Carter said. It wasn't a question. She nodded. A terrible feeling settled in Carter's stomach. He was driving them toward the very people who wanted to take his daughter. But he was also driving toward the last place Elena had been, the place she had run from. If she was alive, if she was hidden anywhere, it would be there, in the gilded cage of her family. He looked at Lily. "If we go there, it will be dangerous. The man with the scary hand will be there. Other people who are not nice will be there." Lily listened. She looked at her drawing of the 2 stick figures in the car. Then she drew a 3rd stick figure inside the house. She gave it long hair and 2 different colored dots for eyes. She pointed to it, then to her own heart. "You think Mommy is there?" Carter whispered. Lily's eyes filled with tears. She nodded. Carter folded the map. He got back in the car. Lily climbed into her seat. He sat for a moment, his hands on the wheel. He was not a brave man. He was a man who liked control. He had no control here. He had no plan. All he had was a 5-year-old's drawing and a desperate hope. "Okay," he said finally. "We go to the house. We find Mommy. But we have to be very, very careful, like quiet mice, okay?" Lily made a small mouse face, scrunching her nose. It almost made him smile. He started driving again, following the map toward West Virginia. The road began to climb into bigger hills. The mountains were dark shapes against the evening sky. As they drove, Lily drew one more picture. It was a detailed drawing of a gate, a big iron gate between 2 stone pillars. She showed it to Carter. "That's how we get in," he said, "or how we know we're close." She nodded and put the drawing on the seat beside her. She looked out at the darkening road, her expression calm and certain. She was leading him now. With every picture, she was showing him the way home to a place they had never been. The iron gate was just like Lily's drawing. It stood between 2 tall stone pillars. It was closed. A light was on in a small gatehouse, but no one was inside. Carter parked the gray car far down the road, hidden in some trees. He and Lily got out. The night was cold and very quiet. "We have to climb over," Carter whispered. "Can you be very brave and climb with me?" Lily nodded. She put her arms around his neck. Carter grabbed the cold iron bars and carefully climbed over the gate. He dropped softly to the other side with Lily in his arms. They were on a long paved driveway. It curved up a hill. At the top of the hill, they could see it, the big house. It had many windows, just like in the pictures. Only a few lights were on inside. They stayed in the shadows of the trees beside the driveway. They walked quietly up the hill. No one saw them. The house got bigger and bigger as they got closer. They reached a side door. Carter tried the handle. It was locked. He saw a window a few feet away. It was open just a crack. "This way," he said. He lifted Lily up so she could crawl through the open window into a dark room. Then he climbed in after her. They were in a large kitchen. It was empty and clean. Everything was quiet. Lily took his hand. She pointed toward a hallway. She started walking, leading him. She seemed to know where to go. They walked down a long hallway with fancy rugs. They passed closed doors. Then, at the end of the hall, Lily stopped. She pointed to a door. This door had a new, strong-looking lock on the outside. Carter's heart beat hard. He put his finger to his lips. He slowly turned the lock. It clicked. He pushed the door open. The room inside was nice. A sitting room with a sofa and books. A lamp was on. And there by the window was a woman. She turned around. It was Elena. She was thinner. Her face was pale, but her eyes, one green, one blue, were the same. They went wide with shock. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Carter?" Her voice was a dry whisper, like she hadn't used it in years. Then her eyes fell on Lily. "Lily!" Lily let go of Carter's hand. She took 2 steps forward and stopped. She just stared, her own different-colored eyes mirroring her mother's. Elena fell to her knees. "Oh, my baby," she cried, opening her arms. Lily ran to her. She buried her face in her mother's neck. Elena held her tight, sobbing silently. Carter walked over and put his hands on both of them. He could not speak. "How?" Elena finally said, looking up at Carter. "How did you find me?" "Lily," Carter said, his voice breaking. "She drew pictures. She led us here." Elena looked at her daughter in wonder. She touched Lily's hair. "You saw this place in your mind," she whispered. "I used to tell you stories about the big house on the hill when you were a baby. You remembered." A calm voice came from the doorway. "It seems the family has a strong connection." A man stood there. He was tall, with neat gray hair. He wore a dark suit. He looked like an older, harder version of Elena. This was Arthur. Elena immediately stood up, pushing Lily behind her. "Arthur, please." "Eleanor," Arthur said. He did not look at Carter. "You brought them here, after all we did to keep them safe, after all you sacrificed." "They are my family," Elena said, her voice stronger now. "They are a distraction," Arthur said calmly. "You have a duty here. The child is a Van Horn. She belongs with her legacy." "No," Carter said, stepping forward. "She is my daughter. She doesn't belong to you." Arthur looked at Carter for the first time. His eyes were cold. "Mr. Reed, you have money. You have a life in Boston. Go back to it. Leave the child. She will be cared for. She will learn her true place." "I am not leaving without my daughter or my wife," Carter said. "Your wife is dead," Arthur said flatly. "She died 3 years ago. This is Eleanor Vance. She has responsibilities that do not concern you." "You keep her locked in this room," Carter said. "For her own protection, and for yours. The world she left behind is not kind to outsiders." Arthur took a step into the room. "Silas." From the shadowed hall behind Arthur, the tall man appeared. Silas. His scarred hand rested at his side. His eyes were on Carter. Elena pulled Lily closer. "Arthur, don't do this." "It is already done," Arthur said. "Silas will take Mr. Reed back to his car. The child stays. You will all finally accept what must be." Silas moved toward Carter. He was fast. Carter tried to push him away, but Silas was much stronger. Silas grabbed Carter's arm and twisted it. Carter cried out in pain. Silas shoved him hard. Carter fell to the floor, his head hitting the rug. "Daddy!" The word was a scream, a loud, clear, real word. Everyone froze. Silas stopped. Arthur's mouth fell open. Elena gasped. Lily was standing in front of her mother. Her small fists were clenched at her sides. Her face was red. She stared right at Silas. "No!" she shouted again. Her voice filled the quiet room. She had spoken. After all the years of silence, she had found her voice in a moment of pure fear and love. Silas looked stunned. He stared at the little girl, his scarred hand hanging in the air. He had not expected this. No one had. That 1 second of shock was all Carter needed. The pain in his arm was sharp, but he pushed himself up from the floor. He threw his whole weight into Silas, knocking him off balance. Silas stumbled back against a small table, which crashed over. "Run!" Carter yelled. He did not look back. He grabbed Elena's hand with his good hand. Elena snatched Lily up into her arms. They ran out of the room into the dark hallway. "Stop them!" Arthur's voice roared behind them. They ran through the kitchen. Carter yanked open the side door. The cold night air hit their faces. They ran down the hill toward the gate. Carter could hear shouts from the house behind them. Lily clung to Elena's neck, her eyes wide but dry. They reached the gate. Carter helped Elena and Lily climb over. Then he climbed over himself. They ran to the trees where the car was hidden. Carter's hand shook as he tried to start the car. The engine turned over. He looked back. Flashlights were coming down the driveway from the house. He drove. He did not turn on the headlights until they were far down the road. He drove fast, taking turns without thinking, just putting distance between them and the big house. No one spoke for a long time. The only sounds were the engine and their heavy breathing. Finally, Elena broke the silence. Her voice was a soft sob in the dark. "Lily, you talked." Lily was sitting between her parents in the front seat, held tightly by Elena. She looked up at her mother's face. She reached out and touched Elena's cheek. "Mommy," Lily said. The word was a little rough, but it was perfect. Elena began to cry, holding her daughter close. Carter reached over and put his hand on both of them. He kept driving. "They will follow," Elena whispered after a while. "Arthur will not let this go. Silas will not stop." "I know," Carter said. His mind was already working. They could not go back to Boston. They could not use their old names. The money in his backpack was not enough for forever. "We have to disappear, really disappear this time." Elena nodded. She rested her head against his shoulder. Lily's eyes were getting heavy with sleep. They were together. They were alive. But the headlights of their car only lit a small part of the dark road ahead. The rest was unknown. They would have to find a new place, new names. They would have to always look behind them. Carter drove through the night. In the back of his mind, he still heard it. The powerful, tiny word that had saved them. Asterisk, number asterisk. It was not just a word. It was a beginning.